billion to look that good.
So, everybody, I don't know if you guys knew this or not. I don't know if you guys knew, but I am gay. I didn't think that you guys didn't know that. So, I mean, let me address a few things. Obviously in my last video with my mom, my mom knows that I'm gay. Okay, that was all like dramatized for the video. It looked more I mean, you guys didn't believe it, but it definitely looked natural because we had already talked about what she was going to do at the end of the video before we started filming. But so she's obviously already knew. The reason why she said that was because we've been for years and years and years and years. Obviously, I've been gay for my entire life, and not even like DL gay. And if you don't know what that means, if you're not with the girls, DL means down low. Like I'm not even like, you know, whatever. I guess DL is a whatever. The point is that I'm not DL. Okay, look at this jacket that I have on. Look at this earring. My fingers are currently covered. My fingers are covered for a fashion statement. So I mean, it's never gave DL. It never has given DL. I never cared to or not to be DL or whatever. So yes, my mom knows. Yes, my dad knows. Yes, Dalvin knows. Everybody in my family knows. The reason how I know or knew from for a very long time that I was gay is that starting from the beginning, kindergarten. So in kindergarten, I met this boy, and and it's really funny because I know he's not watching, but I still feel so weird and like talking about any of this. But I saw this boy in my elementary school class or whatever, and now knowing a lot more than I did then, I immediately was attracted to him. For middle school, so we're a little bit older now at this point. I'm with him, I'm talking to him or whatever. Still his friend. I was friends with other people too. It's not like I always hung around him, but I liked being around him rather. We were on the bus and I told him, I was like, I like you. And he was like, okay, I like you too. And he thought that I meant platonically. And I, at the time, assumed that I meant it like that too. And then so I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, okay, well, he's saying he likes me too, but I don't think it's the same. I was like, I like you, but I think I like you in the way that girls are supposed to like guys. I think it's like that. I can tell he thought that was very weird. But like, again, we're children and we're not like thinking anything like, he definitely thought it was weird. I'm not gonna say he didn't, but like, we don't know much about any of that. And I'm saying we, because I didn't know nothing at all. I was like, I just like blurted it out. Like, I think I like you in the way that girls are supposed to like guys. And so then he was like, okay, well, no, don't do any of that actually. And I said, oh, okay. And then, he proceeded to be like vile actually. For a short period of time, he was very, very mean to me. Being in school when you know that people are cruel and mean, and I've always been feminine my whole life. My parents have known, that's another thing I didn't mention, I don't think, in this take number 4, is that my parents knew since I was probably 3 or 4 years old. Like, I've always been feminine. The way that my parents found out is that my dad picks me up, he's being a little like, I don't know how to explain it, like, not very responsive. He wasn't like, responding to the things that I was saying in a way that he normally did. It was more of like very straightforward answers or whatever. I was like kind of like happy, or I don't know if I was like super bubbly like when I got in the car, but I just remember being like I was like a normal, like it was like a normal day. And for him, it felt like everything was like, you know, he was in his head, he was in his mind, like thinking. And now I know that that's my dad's way of like, I don't know, that's just his way of like thinking about things or processing things rather, right? So and I'm like, this is so weird, like maybe he's going through something, whatever. Now, mind you, my high school was like a 2 or 3 minute drive to my house. It was very, very quick. Maybe even less than that, actually. We literally lived like right across the street. So he drove me, we get home or whatever. I get into their bedroom. Again, like not thinking anything of it. I was about to tell them about my day and my time being in tech week. And my mom is also acting a weird way too. And a lot of you guys talked about and commented on the last video talking about how you wanted me to speak about the concept of being gay. being gay and in a Christian household. And so I basically was sitting there on the edge of their bed, and my dad starts going on this spiel about something about the Bible. I don't know. Something about the Bible. I don't remember what it was, but I was just sitting there going, okay, yeah, okay, what about it? And he was being so weird. It was so weird. Like, you have to understand, this was not my dynamic with my parents at all. Like, it was a complete 180. They're being, like, cold and, like, to themselves, and I knew something was off. So my dad starts talking about the Bible, and again, I grew up in church my whole life. And so I'm like, okay, like, what are you getting at, Dad? Like, what are you saying? He was talking about, I don't even remember what he was saying at this point, but, and so he's talking about it or whatever, and then all of a sudden he asks me, he goes, are you gay? Now, at this point, again, as you guys know, I know I'm gay. I probably would have pushed it off as long as I possibly could have, but my plan was going to be to, like, write a letter to them, and I used to go to Rockford, Illinois, in the summer times with my grandma, so I was gonna, like, sneak inside and say, oh, I forgot something or whatever when they were in the car, and then go drop off this letter on their bed, and then they would, like, read it and find out once I was in Rockford, Illinois, so that I wouldn't at least be there when it happened, so they could, like, read it. I don't know, I was, like, so scared to tell him. And so he asked me, he's like, are you gay? And I go, no, right? And again, I know for a fact that I am at that point. I'm like, no. And he just keeps on asking me, probably because they knew for a fact that I was, right? Which, if you have a son or a daughter who has gender characteristics that are not necessarily the norm, it doesn't mean that they're gay or lesbian or anybody in the LGBTQ community. It could just mean that they're a tomboy as a girl. I mean, as a girl, or they just don't want to, like, I don't know, wear this or that or whatever, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that it dictates their sexuality. But at the time, he said, okay, are you gay? I'm like, no. Are you gay? And I was like, okay, why aren't they believing me now? This is weird. I'm like, no, why are you asking me that? And then I think he asked me one more time. And I don't remember if it was, like, right after it. But he asked me one more time. But he asked me one more time, and I run to the kitchen. Because I'm about to start crying, and I'm like, oh my goodness, if I start crying, this is gonna be a lot. Like, if I start crying, they're gonna know. And so they can definitely tell that I'm starting to cry when I'm saying no. And so I run to the kitchen, and I'm just, like, crying, like, really bawling, crying. And my dad comes after me, like, running into the kitchen as well, and he, like, hugs me from behind. And so I'm crying or whatever, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a lot. I'm thinking in my head, like, oh, they did a lot. And I still to this day think that they ripped me out the closet. But anyway, so I'm crying or whatever, and then my mom is like, just like, I don't know, she's different than my dad in the way that she copes with things. But I could also tell something was off with her too. And I think that after, like, I admitted that I was gay, it was just like, they didn't know what to do. It was almost like their world, like, was like, my son, of all people, my son is gay. And again, being gay and growing up in a Christian household, it was very, you know, we had to figure out that dynamic. My dad, and my mom claims a different story. I don't know, whatever. I don't know if I'm having false memories because I was 12 and 13 or 14 or whatever I was. But I specifically remember my dad, like, going through, or, like, praying. He would pray, he would go to the basement and he would pray in the dark. And I thought that was so weird. I was like, what is my dad doing? Like, for 6 weeks, I think, he was on a hiatus completely. And he was just down there all the time, praying and praying in the dark, in pitch black, dark, praying. I'm just like, this is so weird and crazy. So during that time, I was, like, communicating and talking to my mom mostly, right? My dad, I really didn't speak to him very much about, I told you I was in pajamas, let's see, not the to me. Did I tell you I was in pajamas in this take? I don't know if I did. I was in pajamas. Anyways, and so it was a really tough time for our family at the time, and my dad what I think he was doing was praying. Again, my mom claims that he wasn't doing any of that, and that he actually was praying, but it wasn't about me being gay, and he was fasting and going through something or whatever, and I just don't remember that. But I specifically remember him doing that constantly. Parents were like, okay. Not really okay. It really was, like, a tough time for the Gaskin family at the time. My brother's not in the house, by the way, at this point. I don't think he was. Yeah, my brother wasn't in the house at all at this point. So, like, he wasn't even in the picture at all in terms of this whole conversation happening. Otherwise, he would have been, like, hearing about it or whatever, right? And so, I think for for a little while after that, it was very, very weird in my family. again, my parents needed time to cope with the fact that their son was gay. They needed that time, especially being Christian people. It was difficult for them to be able to cope with that, right? I started to try to be more open about the fact that I was gay. In the beginning, for the first couple years rather, even in like high school, like I was openly gay with my friends and things like that, like my close friends. And again, everyone already knew that I was gay. But with my parents, I felt that I wouldn't like talk about the fact that I was gay. And it wasn't until maybe high school, I would say maybe junior year of high school, I started being like, listen, I'm gay. And it is what it is. And so like, the only way that we're gonna be able to move forward is if I start making my parents uncomfortable. And everyone's probably like, what's going on? I decided, and they were never uncomfortable, but I decided that I was going to be uncomfortable because I That's where I
Essa bitch me avistou. Chegou perto e perguntou na intenção de querer o telefone. Sabe, eu sou sujeito. Ela tem peito gigante. Sei que ela não vale nada.
And then I started being like, I'm just going to like talk about whether or not, or talk about me being gay. And I don't really know how that looked in the beginning necessarily, but like, I would, for example, I felt like it was like almost taboo to say Darius is gay, or talk about gay things, or gay themes, or gay people, or whatever in my house. And my mom probably will have something contrary to say, which is why I want to make a video with her and my dad specifically to see what their opinions are on this. But in this clip, I feel like I make it seem as though my parents were the only ones who were uncomfortable in the situation, and they were hindering me from being who I was. But I think it took us a long time to get to where we are now from all sides. I was also uncomfortable being my full self, and it took me a little bit of time to become comfortable and have my parents reach that same destination as well.
Oh my God. Darius.
When I got to college, it was over because I was like, you know what, there's only one me, and I have to be me, otherwise, because no one else is gonna do it. So when I got home from college, and I had to wear and doing what I wanted to do, and y'all used to remember I used to wear Hollister. There's nothing wrong with Hollister, nothing wrong. But I'm saying that's all that the extent of my wardrobe was just, you know, very just. I say it in the sense of masculine, like whatever. I just wore whatever was in the men's section at Hollister, and those were my favorite clothes. Or I would wear hoodies or whatever like that. It was nothing like more than that. And I still wear those things now, right? But I also have a few pieces in my wardrobe. I have a few pieces! They are ripped. A few of those pieces are ripped. Yeah, I expanded my wardrobe. When I went to Beyonce, and I know you guys are always talking about, oh my gosh, him and Beyonce. I've always loved Beyonce before even this album. But the Renaissance was so wildly important.
You be my darling, won't you stay? Won't you spend the night?
My DMs were recently flooded. Everybody is wanting to know my opinion about my little brother, Darius Gaskin's last video. To be completely transparent, I have not watched it yet. And the reason for that is because I decided to do a live reaction with you guys. So Darius dropped this video 2 days ago. I know the girls are going to be gagged. So I'm really interested, really excited. I have me some whiskey today. I'm gonna be sipping a little whiskey while I enjoy this video. And I decided to get a little snatched up, a little snazzy dashy because it's a special video. It's a big moment for Darius. So without further ado,